Good morning, everybody. Well, here we are, North Palm Beach, Florida. You're how to buy a car, or lease a car, or maintain a car without being taken advantage of. Been doing this show for a long, long time. And, I went back the other day and listened to some older shows. I'll be talking about this later on, why I did that. Has something to do with Amazon, has something to do with my second book. But I was going back in history, and Jonathan, our producer here, sent me a couple of podcasts. And I listened to myself. He says, "You'll enjoy this." And I listened to myself about 15 years ago or so. And I'm embarrassed to tell you, it sounds like I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I mean, I don't memorize it, I promise you. I didn't realize that 15 years ago I was telling you how much fun we had on this show. I usually do that now, and I was talking to you about you are the most important part of the show. And, to hear, when I realized I've been doing it every week for 15 years, maybe you figured that out. I don't need to say it again. But the truth being told, our audience is different. We've got people that have been with us for 15 years, Earl Stewart on Cars. And we have some regular callers that have been with us for longer than that. YouTubers, Facebookers. We've really got a base, a hardcore base of listeners that are actually amazing folks. But we get new people every week, and that's what it's all about. So pardon me, you loyal members of this team here, I consider you part of the show. I mean, you're not in the studio with Nancy and Rick and Jonathan, me and Stu, but you may as well be. And the ones that have been with us so long, you contribute so much. And anyway, when I keep telling you or assuming that you are listening to the show, we have a lot of new listeners, and we got tens of thousands of people coming in. I have to remind myself, for every person that calls the show, there's a few thousand that don't, and most people aren't going to risk. What are you risking? I mean, you're live in front of tens of thousands of people around the world. Yeah, a lot of people don't like to do that. Maintain your anonymity, or at least maintain the comfort of your home or car wherever you're listening. And I also get too excited, I think, when I do my introduction and I say things are changing and things are exciting. And is it just me? But it's been crazy out there with what's going on with automobiles. I mean, I feel like, Henry Ford, it was exciting back then when he invented production line assembly and a car that could be afforded by the average family. But look where we are today. Good God, we're talking about self-driving cars. I wonder what Henry Ford would say if he heard that. How about all electric vehicles, no gasoline, no combustion engines? What would he have to say about that? Our core focus, though, is to make life easier for you. And that really hasn't changed in over 100 years. So help is on the horizon. The name of that help, one of the big helps, is Amazon. And we're going to be talking more than usual about Amazon this morning because Nancy will talk about that. We're all going to be talking about it because we want to be an Amazon dealer. We want to be a partner with Amazon. Amazon is the second largest. I think they compete with Walmart for the number one retail crown, and they are an amazing outfit worldwide. And a huge percentage, more than half of everything people buy is through Amazon. So cars are no different, and we want you to be able to buy cars from Earl Stewart, and Amazon's got a deal going with Hyundai now, and but they want to expand it. They say they are going to expand it, so we're going to ask your support to help us become an Amazon dealer, and I think that's pretty cool, pretty exciting. At any rate, as I said before, we got a huge amount to talk about. Sitting next to me is Rick Kearney, the world's best auto technician, and I may have exaggerated slightly. There may be somebody in Italy or China. I don't know where they are, but I don't know who they are. He's the best. He can answer anything about the electronics, software, mechanics of your vehicle. And he corrected me a week or two ago. He says he's been with me for 30 years. Time goes so fast. I think I said 20 or 25. And anyway, Rick is here, and even though I talk about all these exotic things like Amazon and electric vehicles and how to buy a car without being overcharged, most of the people that call the show are calling Rick. And Rick is, he's there. He's going to save you a ton of money. You can't drive into an independent mechanics establishment or a car dealership and get out of there without paying something. But you can get your car diagnosed right here, live on radio or streaming or Facebook or YouTube. Get your car diagnosed free. And Rick's pretty darn good, considering he's not there with a stethoscope or anything at your home. You describe it, he'll guide you through it. He'll say, what's it smell like? What's it sound like? How often does it happen? What type of year, make, model car? He'll ask you the questions, just like a doctor would ask you if you were having an exam. And he'll come up with the right answer, usually. I mean, sometimes it's 2 or 3 possibilities, but at the very least, he'll save you a lot of money, because if you're going into a dealership or an independent repair, you know what Rick is going to tell you. Ask these questions, and this is what you respond to their answers. So save yourself some money. Call Rick Kearney or go to youtube.com/Earl on Cars, and Rick monitors that. Has a huge following, by the way. My son Stu, by the way, will be here shortly. He's part of the show, too. Stu is in our dealership. We have a Toyota dealership in North Palm Beach, and so he knows more of the day-to-day stuff that's going on, and there's a lot of day-to-day stuff going on with the tariffs, with the recalls, with the electric vehicles, with glitches in the supply chain, shortages of parts. So Stu Stewart will be here shortly. And of course, my partner in this madness that we've been pursuing for 20 years, Nancy Stewart, my wife and my partner, and a very, very important part of the show, because she is the female advocate. And she is, when we got here, she was talking to a woman caller and reminding the woman caller to please help her build the audience, a female audience for Earl Stewart on Cars. And she's solely responsible, and I mean that. She is personally responsible for making it 50-50, and I can't thank her enough for that. And the ladies out there can't thank her enough either. So I'm going to turn the microphone over to Nancy Stewart and see what she has on her mind.
Thank you. Wow. You talked about 15 years ago. Can you believe it?
Yeah.
And to everyone out there, it just proves how committed we are, how driven we are, and how much it means to us to be right here in this studio. In spite, all of you know, with medical issues that, well, were beyond our control. Anyway, thank you so much for joining us this morning, and I want to thank all the ladies that are listening. I want to thank Sarah for her call this morning, and she always reassures me that she'll be speaking to other women, encouraging them to call the show and win $50. Yes, women can win $50. The first 2 ladies that call the show, you have to call for the first time, and you can win yourself $50, so take advantage of that. Also, this news about Amazon and Earl Stewart, what do you think out there? Give us a call. Do you feel that Earl Stewart's commitment, his transparency to all of his, I'm going to say followers, I'm not going to just say, the car buyers, but just everyone. His transparency, it really aligns perfectly with Amazon's reputation. Give us a call. Let us know what you think. Earl Stewart would be the first Toyota dealer. And
First dealer, not Hyundai.
pardon me?
We would be
Toyota dealer.
Yeah, we would be the first non-Hyundai dealer.
Exactly. Give us a call. How do you feel about this? 877-960-9960. And you can also text us this morning at 772-497-6530. Take advantage of your anonymous feedback. And, no one knows who you are, so you can take advantage of that. YourAnonymousFeedback.com. We have a mystery shopping report to get to, so much more to get to, and I'm not going to say any more except take advantage of that phone number, toll free, 877-960-9960. We're going to go right to the phones where John from Palm City has been holding. Good morning, John.
Good morning. Last week, Earl mentioned a pickup truck company that's new called Slate. My question for Rick is, do you think the future, we already have the best EV in the world, Tesla, absolutely in the world, 80% American parts, not 100% perfect, but really nothing is. Rick, do you think the future will be EV, not pickup trucks, but regular large over-the-road trucks and buses? What's your opinion?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, the number one hybrid in the world is running on the steel rails every time you drive around. Locomotive engines use electric motors to spin the wheels. They have diesel and other powers to create the electricity, but electric motors create instant torque the moment you give power to it. So you have that massive amount of power to get that load moving. So, a lot of things, just something that people don't realize is that trains are all hybrids. And one of the, we're in South Florida, a lot of folks have boats. So you need a vehicle that can have a lot of torque to get your boat in and out of the water.
Rick, I'm not an engineer by any means, but it just occurred to me when you said that is that they run on steel rails, and you've often talked about the rails embedded in highways that will continuously charge. Wouldn't the nation's system of rails be a perfect conduit to be able to continually charge a battery in a train?
It's worth considering, and obviously subways run on that, inner city trains.
Yeah. You've already got the framework laid.
Right. The big drawback that you have there, though, is a safety factor of vehicles that have to cross over railroad tracks, and the idea that you've got so much electricity running, like with subway trains.
No worse than an 80-mile-an-hour train hitting you.
True, but when there's no train on those tracks at that moment,
yeah,
and you've still got that third rail,
well, that's easy enough.
Massive amount of electricity in it.
That would be easy enough to disconnect and then keep it. You wouldn't have it up where the car would come in contact with it. Anyway, sorry to divert. We got John asking questions, but I just thought your answer was so interesting that I interrupted.
Electric motors just are the real hero here.
Yeah.
I mention that because a giant truck builder called Nikola went totally bankrupt. In 2020, they were valued at $30 billion. But again, it wasn't so much for what they manufactured. The CEO, his name I think was Trevor Milton, was sent 4 years to prison, and it was fraud involved, misleading the investors. But it was such a hot company at the beginning, General Motors even invested like 13% in that company. So it basically wasn't the fault of the truck. It was fraud to the investors.
Yeah, there's always going to be problems trying to get any new technology to break into the world. When you've got diesel trucks have been running on the roads for 100 years now, it's going to be tough for these new companies to come in and get this new technology in. However, now interesting here with that company, Nikola, that was actually named after Nikola Tesla, which, so I mean, love the coincidence, the planning there. By the way, quick note here from Donovan on YouTube. He says, for the caller, he says, in Europe, EV buses and long-haul trucks are taking over quickly. It's about dollars and cents at the end of the day, and the per-mile cost is far lower in an EV truck. His opinion, he says, is just going to take about 20 years to fully get there in America. And that obviously is very, very true. It's going to take time to change that American mentality. We as a people are rather, we're stubborn. And I'll say it because, I'm stubborn as all get out.
How about creatures of habit?
Yeah, and that. But I believe once this technology, once electric motors, EVs, and even hybrids start really kicking in with these diesel trucks, and the guys that own them and drive them, once they start seeing this on the road and experience it, there's going to be a revolution on the highways. And I think it's just going to go that way.
Thank you to answer my question.
Anytime.
Thank you, John. Thanks for tuning in every week. We're going to go to Bob, and Bob is calling us from Lake Worth, I believe. Morning, Bob. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Listen, my boss bought a Audi Quattro. I think it's a mid-size or smaller SUV, electric, and she loves the electric. But I took her to the dealer the other day. She got 35,000 miles on her car, and they're telling her she almost needs another second set of tires. Does that sound right? That she's only getting 17,000 miles out of a set of tires?
Generally, when you buy a brand new car, the first set of tires that are on it from the factory, it's a dirty little secret that they don't really advertise much. The auto manufacturers and the tire companies get together. They have special tires that they put on those cars right from the factory that are a soft compound tread. The reason for it is that when you get in this new car that you've just spent anywhere from 25 to 30,000 to 50,000, 100,000 for that car, it's going to ride nice and soft and smooth because of those soft new tires. And once you kind of get used to it and how it's riding like that, and those tires, they wear out quickly. I've seen them down to the wear bars in 10,000 miles. And it depends on driving habits. But yeah, so once they wear out, and then you buy the next set of replacement tires, these are the ones that are intended to last. These are the ones that are going to get you 30, 40,000 miles or more, and they're a harder compound. So for that second set of tires to wear out quickly, I'd be looking at what tires were put on the vehicle and looking at her driving habits, because trust me, driving habits, number one reason why tires wear out too quickly.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because she told me that they said it's in the caution range. So they might just be trying to sell a lady a set of tires she doesn't need.
Now, that's very possible. And the easy way to tell, turn your front wheels to all the way to one side so you can see across the tread of the tire. And if you look, you've got the hills and valleys, the little valleys in between the treads. Going around the tire, there are these little bars that run across through the tread, and they're raised up just a little bit. So if you look very closely, you'll see this little lump down in those little valleys, and that's the tread wear indicator. When that shows up as a solid line all the way across, you need to replace those tires.
Or get a second opinion. I mean, it's like anything else. Well, you always get a second opinion if you're talking about an expense of any size at all.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah, I got a 2024 Blazer with 30,000 miles on it, and I still got plenty of tread. So I'll just tell her to check her tire, the wear bar, and maybe they're just trying to rip her off because she's a female. I don't know. Thank you, guys.
Hey, thank you, Bob. Thanks for your input. That's very interesting. Ladies, I have to remind you, you can win yourself $50 this morning. Yes, $50 for the first two new lady callers. And remember, what an important part we play, excuse me, we play in this auto industry. It's huge. There's not a lot of people out there that realize what an impact we have on these dealerships. And with that said, remember $50 for the first 2 new lady callers. We are going to go to Marty, who's calling us from West Palm Beach. Good morning, Marty. How are you today?
Good. How are you, Nancy?
Great.
I have a question, I guess, for Earl, because Stu's probably not there yet.
No,
Right.
he'll be in at 9.
Okay. With the Amazon deal, as far as what I read, you have to put a $500 deposit down. The next question I have is, I don't know if you do the financing over the phone or you do it in the office once you see the car. But here's my question. Normally, you can test drive the car when it's on the lot. You can test drive it. And if you, for some reason, don't like it or don't want it, do you get your deposit back?
Yeah, it's you get a deposit back now, but the gimmick is like anything else the dealers do when they get sneaky. The receipt that you get, be sure the receipt says a refundable deposit. That's the rule. That's the law. If a dealership that wants to keep your deposit, they have to tell you that they are going to keep the deposit. And the only way they can do that is to either do it verbally or put it on the receipt. But yeah, it's typically a deposit on a product, as long as you don't take delivery of the product. You can test drive a vehicle, that's not delivery. But if you sign the papers and take delivery of a product, then you're not going to get your money back. But the test drive is free as long as the dealer doesn't tell you ahead of time. Funny you should mention that, because as we were riding in, Nancy was doing a little research on ChatGPT, and something I never heard of before. There are luxury car dealers now that will charge you for a test drive, and we both were kind of startled at that, and then we started to think, and Nancy says, well, if you're looking at a $300,000 Rolls Royce and some kid rides in on a bicycle, you can understand why they might be reluctant to say, hey, take it out and bring it back whenever you feel like. So yeah, they probably asked a kid for a deposit, but I digress. Answer your question, Marty?
Well, what I wanted to know, though, if you know as a fact, since you're going through Amazon, will they put that on the receipt, or do you have to ask Amazon to do it?
It's going to have to be the dealer that does that, because all Amazon does is tell you the price that the dealer has agreed to sell the car for. So they give you that out-the-door price. Now, if you're financing, you go directly through Amazon. You're not doing any financing with a dealer unless you choose to. So Amazon is there's 2 good things about it. You're going to get a good price, and you're going to get a fair financing. I should say there are 3 good things about it. The third thing is you're not obligated in any way. So when you go online to Amazon and you get all the information, the dealer, your contact at the dealership, how much the car is, et cetera, you can go to 8 other dealers and give them Amazon's price and ask them if they want to meet it, even if they're not an Amazon dealer. So an Amazon gives you a low price that you can shop and compare, which is a valuable thing to have because you can't get it anywhere else. And then if in fact, after you shop and compare, the Amazon price was the lowest price in your market for Hyundais, then you go to the Hyundai dealer and he gives you the price. But you can go to any Hyundai dealer. The only thing that you've got is the Amazon price. Now the dealer is paying Amazon a monthly fee for the right to be an Amazon dealer. And in fact, we're as Nancy said, we're signing up to be an Amazon dealer. And one of the things they will give us is 90 days free sign-up charges. So they'll give us 90 days to be able to work through Amazon. And if we like it, then we leave. If we don't like it, then we continue to pay that monthly fee.
Well, I guess what I would do is what I think I'm an astute shopper, I would definitely check the price out
Yes.
at other dealers
Yes.
and see if it's a better deal.
Yeah.
And to me, if any Hyundai, except for maybe Napleton, if you can get a lower price than Amazon, you ought to go to that dealer.
Exactly. As long as you were alert, because it's amazing. You're sharp. You listen to the show. We say on the show we're preaching to the choir. So when we're talking to Marty, Marty knows the angles. But there are a lot of people out there. We call them the victims, and they're elderly. They're non-English speaking, and that's not their first language. They don't have the education. And a lot of people out there, most of people actually, that go into car dealerships are not prepared. And so you can go to Amazon and get what you think is really a good price, and then you go into a dealership that gives you a lower price, and you say, that's great, I'll buy it. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to you, because you're a victim, they slide in junk fees, dealer-installed accessories. They underappraise your trade-in. There's a million tricks, which you know because you listen to the show. But in answer to your earlier comment, you're better off just to use Amazon to get a better price. And if you're Marty, that's absolutely true. If you're a person that hasn't bought a car before and you don't know the tricks that are played on you, you have to be very, very careful with that Amazon price, because they'll make you believe you got it or better than that price, but you didn't. And you don't find out about it till we say in the trade, till the ether wears off, and somebody says, "Do you realize you overpaid the Amazon price by $3,000?" And you say no, and they show you the fine print.
Yeah. How do you do a trade-in with the Amazon deals?
Well, with the Amazon, they will tell you, and they don't buy the cars, but they will tell you to get to sell your trade separately. So that's a different deal altogether. You go to cars.com, you go to Carvana, you go to CarMax, which is probably the best. We buyanycar.com. There's a half a dozen or more. It's become a big deal now in used cars to buy cars from customers directly. So if you go to 5 different sources or even 3 different sources and get bids on your trade-in, you're getting really good money on that trade-in, probably more than the dealer will offer you. But if the dealer does offer you more, just like we talk about with Amazon, go ahead and sell it to the dealer.
Yeah. Well, also, if you just buy it or sell it outright, you're not getting the sales tax effect that you would on a trade-in at a dealership.
Yeah, if you could go through that aggravation. I mean, there are a lot of people out there, young women and things like that. They don't want to run an ad online and have some guy knock on the door and say, can we take a ride in your car? I mean, before I buy it. I mean, a lot of people don't want that kind of hassle. So, but if you can sell your car personally and be careful and get more money, that's the way to go.
Yeah. Now, in your dealership now, the way you have a fixed price that you sell it for.
Yeah.
Is that the same price that you're gonna? I mean, I don't want to.
Yes, it is. Yeah. We're going to decide what we think is a fair price in the market, and that's how we do it. We look at actual transactions of cars in our market. We know the market price. We know the good price. We know the bad price. We try to price our vehicles low enough to attract attention, but high enough where we can make a profit. I mean, the dealers that are claiming they're giving the cars away, they're lying. I mean, I've got a big overhead. I've got to pay Rick and Nancy and my sons. I got to pay the landlord. Of course, I'm the landlord, but I have to pay for advertising,
electricity.
Yeah, and if I sold my cars at my cost, which all the dealers tell you they're doing, I'd be bankrupt in 3 weeks. So unlike all the other dealers, I make a profit when I sell the car, and I admit it. And I give you the lowest profit I can afford to give you, and I won't give a lower price to anybody, and I won't give a higher price to anybody, and that affords you the opportunity, because you come into my dealership, and this is the way Amazon operates. We just talked about it. You come into my dealership, I give you a price on a new hybrid Camry, and that's the out the door price. What you should do, and what we tell customers who come into our dealership to do, we say, now take it to another 2 or 3 Toyota dealers, and if you can get a lower price out the door, buy the car from the other dealer, because unlike all the other dealers, we don't sell for the lowest price all the time. We do enough to make a nice profit and sell a lot of cars. I'm proud of our team. They do a good job. If I'm not selling enough cars, I'll likely either fire my advertising agency and hire another one, or I'll lower my prices, or maybe both. So that's what business is all about, making a profit.
Okay, so just one other quick question for you. If you become an Amazon dealer, but I decide I want to trade in my car at your dealership, will I get the savings of the sales tax?
Oh, sure, that's up to me. Yeah, the dealer themselves, because your differential, you pay your
Right.
sales tax on the differential. So yeah, that's up to you. And that's a very smart observation, because the dealer does have an edge, because when he trades it in, if you sell your car to CarMax, then you lose that edge. So $1,000 differential at a 6% sales tax is $600. So you got to take that into account when you're comparing prices.
Right. All right.
Great
Very
question,
good.
Marty. Thank you very much.
Thanks for your feedback, Marty.
Okay.
Enjoy your consumer report.
Oh, thanks again, Nancy.
You're welcome. Okay, we're going to go to Howard, who has been waiting patiently. Good morning, Howard.
Good morning. Beautiful day in the neighborhood.
It is.
Yes. I have to speak to Rick about something very important.
Okay.
Rick, you remember when you told me about 3 or 4 years ago there's a problem with the 040 white paint? You remember that?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay. What was the problem with that paint?
Basically, the 040 paint it had no clear coat on it, and it would turn to chalk.
And
So-
it was the only paint that didn't have clear coat on it.
No, there was one other, the
Yeah.
red of those
Yeah.
years.
And the reason for that is that there are some very strong fines that manufacturers pay if you violate emission controls, just like if they make a car that has excessive emissions, pollution, they pay a large fine to the federal government. They also pay a large fine to the federal government from emissions from their paint facilities. And you can imagine the amount of emissions from painting millions of cars. And so the EPA can come by and say, you've got 14 plants, you've exceeded the emission controls, and so we're going to fine you $100 for every car. And Toyota got caught with their pants down on this. They were selling too many cars and painting too many cars, so they could either stop building the cars and selling them, or they could find out a way to cut their emissions. So what they did is stop clear coating the car. And that was pretty sneaky, in my opinion. And they didn't tell their customers this, and they didn't tell their dealers this. And so we're selling these white and red cars, and without the clear coat. And we probably, the body shop manager might have noticed, but most people didn't know that had happened until all of a sudden all these white cars and red cars come in, and they've been driving the car for a year or two in the hot Florida sun, and they look like they've been baked in a high temperature oven. They faded like crazy, and we had to paint the entire car and charge the customer thousands of dollars.
Yeah, I noticed there was no clear coat. When I got touch-up paint, they usually give you two parts of touch-up paint.
Yep.
One's a touch-up paint, the other's a clear coat. But when you get 040, you don't get the other, because there's no clear coat. Okay, let me tell you what happened to me. I got very good news, and I'm going to give you an infomercial. When I saw Travis for service a couple of days ago, he says there's a recall. So I said, oh, I figured something, mechanical problem. He says, no, there's a recall on your paint, 040. I said, okay, so what are you going to do, paint, spot paint certain things? He says, no, we're going to paint your whole car. I said, what? He says, we're going to take it down to the metal, and we're going to paint the car. I said, how much do you charge me? See, Travis said 0. So, Earl, did you know about this?
I did not know about that. Did you, Rick?
No, I hadn't heard of that one because
Now, remember when I say the customer makes the show, Howard, you're educating the dealer now. Thank you very much.
Let me tell you, I hate to give you an infomercial, but I don't think any other dealership would inform me of these things that Rick told me, and I was on top of it. I kept on asking, what's the story with 040? And they said, well, wait, we'll see what's happening. We'll see. Because I knew at one point they were going to repair certain things that rusted out.
Yeah.
Fortunately, in my car, I just had very slight, almost imperceivable rust on the top of my car. But what I did is I sanded it down and I primed it and I painted it, and it came out perfect. But
Yeah.
it was just come back. So anyway, I have the car in, and I have a 2024 Loaner, a Camry, which is great. And I noticed it has more pep. The thing rides like a tank. I mean, in a good way. It has also, when I go up a hill, to go into my condo, there's a slight hill. I can take my foot off the brake, and the car holds without me having to put. Is that one of the features of the 2024 Camry?
Not really. What you're doing is you're actually allowing the transmission to give just enough power to the wheels that it's trying to overcome that hill, but the slope of the hill is just enough that it's holding you steady. So you're reaching like that happy medium, that balancing point. Now, we do have a lot of our cars are equipped with what's called hill start assist. And what happens there is, say you're parked on an incline, you're stopped on an incline that's really steep, and even in an automatic transmission car, it would start to roll backwards a little bit, and you're holding on the brake pedal. What you can do is, if you have hill start assist, when the light changes or is about to change, or you're watching for it, you would step on the brake pedal just a little extra hard, kind of give it just a little extra push hard, and it'll beep and illuminate the light to tell you that you've engaged this hill start assist, and the computer will actually keep the brakes applied, and it will hold them for about 5 seconds to give you time to release your foot from the pedal, transfer your foot over to the gas pedal, and be ready to accelerate just a little bit so you can start up the hill, and your car will not roll backwards at all.
Thanks, Rick. We all learned something.
And then start up again to get you going.
Good
Great information.
Yeah. One other question. When I open up my door, the interior lights don't go on, and I'm trying to figure this one out, and I can't figure out where that button is to push, so that at night when I open the door, I want those interior lights to go on. So how do I get that?
Over to the left of your steering wheel, you should see a little knob with a light bulb on it, and they'll have like lines above it, gradations, and you should be able to adjust that. That'll control your interior light, but also look at the light itself to make sure that you don't have it switched totally off. The interior light may have a position switch that will be either for door, on, or off. And if you switch it to door, obviously it turns on when you open the doors, but if you put it totally off, it will not come on even when you open the doors.
Okay, where exactly is this?
On your Camry, the knob should be over to the left of the steering wheel, or it'll actually be a switch on that center dome light above your head.
On the center dome light above it. Okay,
Yeah.
Very good. All right. Thanks very much, and you guys have a good day.
Thanks,
you
Howard.
made me very happy today. I'm going to get a new paint job. And one other question. After the paint job, I cannot wax the car until how long, Rick?
I think they usually recommend about 2 or 3 months to give it time for that paint to fully cure.
Okay.
But double check with the body men when you have it painted.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
By the way, that body shop is great. The guys treated me so nicely, and
Thank you.
what happened is that I left something in the car. I left my umbrella, and couple of other things, and I came back the next day, and they said no problem, and they drove me over to the car, and I got my stuff, and the guy was a gentleman.
Thank you so much, Howard.
We're going to sign you up to do a commercial for us.
Yeah,
Howard.
I miss Alan Napier. He was the best.
He
No,
was.
Alan-
we miss Alan.
It's Dan Trapp now. We got a new body shop manager. Alan retired.
Okay, I know that. Okay, thank you very much.
You're welcome, Howard.
Thanks for the big present. Okay, bye.
Thank
you.
you. Thank you very much. He's pretty excited about that paint job he's going to get.
Isn't
And
it
he
funny?
should be.
Isn't it funny that it sounds like a cliche. It sounds like a flattery when I talk about how customers make the show and how I learn every show something new. Now, Rick and I both learned that we have a recall campaign on paint for white paint, code 040. I trust Howard. I think he's accurate in that. And, of course, we'll double check. But the point is, for you folks out there, these are technical recalls. What do you call them again?
It's not a safety recall.
Yeah,
it's actually what they call an
25
LSC. It's a limited extension to your warranty.
Okay. The point being that when you go into a car dealership and you bought a car from them or somebody else, a relatively late model or otherwise, always ask if there are any notifications. A technical repair bulletin (TRB) is most common. And also common is the fact that the dealerships don't know what all of their TRBs are, and they don't look unless you ask them. And there, as Rick just described, there are other recalls that are warranty type things that the manufacturers intend to keep secret. And I'll look anybody in the eye, even at Toyota, and say they could do a much better job of publicizing these things. But they're in business to make money. Like I just mentioned earlier, I'm in business to make money. So I guess I can't always blame Toyota or Ford or Honda or all the manufacturers if they're not going to be front page line. We're recalling all our white cars because we didn't clear coat them. I mean, that's like a confession. Maybe it should be made. There's an argument. But the bottom line is you have to ask. And sometimes the service advisor or the service manager might not know. Heck, Rick is, he's a technician that knows everything. He didn't know about that. And when you consider the number of these bulletins we get, the number of cars we sell, maybe it's impossible to remember all those. So make a point when you go into a car dealer to check their records or computer about your year, make, model car, your VIN number for that matter, and say, is there anything from Honda, Ford, Toyota, whatever make car it is there anything in there that I need to know about my car that needs to be fixed? And that will pay you well. Because sometimes you drive the car for 5 years and you got 2 or 3 things that are wrong with it. You didn't know about them, and it devalues the car. It could be dangerous. A lot of things. Ask, what does the manufacturer know about my car that I should know? Okay.
Okay. That's an interesting discussion. Ladies and gentlemen, if you didn't tune in earlier, Earl was mentioning Amazon. Just a little teaser. I won't go into detail, but give us a call, 877-960-9960. You can text us at 772-497-6530. Last week I mentioned Mazda's advanced safety tech that aims for 0 fatalities by 2040. Is that amazing? So we took it a step further, and Earl and I were kind of dissecting, what causes all these accidents, as the rate is pretty high. Anyway, what we found in the Consumer Report was the approximate, approximate percentage of all motor vehicle deaths that involve drunk drivers. It's very telling. According to the data for 2022, 13,524 people died. They died as a result of alcohol.
Yeah, that shocked me.
Alcohol impaired driving.
That shocked me. I didn't realize like a third of accidents involve alcohol, and it's just so uncommon that you hear about it. So if it's a DUI and somebody gets killed, you read about it. But how many? You notice the verbiage there involved alcohol. And I don't want to get off on a tangent. We could talk about the whole show about this, but I'm just shocked that 13 to 14,000 people every year are in alcohol-involved
Absolutely.
accidents. I mean, that means you might have had one or two drinks. You're not legally drunk, but that was part of it.
Well, to what I was about to say was the fact that you used to be able to see commercials, many of them on TV, and what they would emphasize is not just driving drunk, but driving buzzed.
Yeah.
And it really put an emphasis on a lot of people, a lot of drivers who say, I'm okay,
Yeah.
I only had one drink. But that one drink could affect each and every person differently. For instance, me, at 108 pounds, that could be a lot of alcohol for me. So you really have to take into consideration, you can't drive buzzed and you can't drive drunk. So Mazda's just, they're looking at, as I said, their target date is 2040 to have 0 fatalities. Our number here is 877-960-9960. Text us 772-497-6530 and take advantage of youranonymousfeedback.com. We're going to go back to the phones and we're going to talk to Mary, who's calling us from Palm Beach Gardens, and we're happy to say she is a first-time caller.
Oh,
Good
boy.
morning, Mary.
Good morning. Hi.
Hi, Mary. You're a
hi.
first-time caller, and you won yourself $50. Before we get started, after we're finished talking, please stay on the line and talk to Jeremy in the control room. He'll get your contact information, and he'll pass it along to me, and that will allow me to send you a $50 check.
Okay, that's great. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Both my husband and I are longtime customers of your dealership, and I have a question here. My husband was inquiring about getting an oil change, and in the past we've always been able to honor other dealerships' coupons. But as recently, we've been told that you no longer do that, honor other dealerships' coupons. Can you give me a little reason why that is?
Part of it, and I'm going to have to look at this because I don't know the exact reasoning. Other dealers will give out phony incentives for their customers. And when I say phony, they may legally comply with fine print, but to me that's not compliance when you try to sneak something in. We look at the coupons that people bring in, and they're innocent victims, and they come in and they get something that makes them believe they're getting a large discount or a refund of some kind on a particular service. And when we look at the fine print, we realize that it is not legitimate. There's so much of this going on that we, in this case here, and I'm speaking from, I'm not in the dealership right now because of my health situation, but I'll check. That's the reason I like to have Stu here, because he's in every day. He'll be in. He said at 9 o'clock. So if I get this wrong, we'll double check with him. But if you have a coupon and you presented it and we refuse to accept it, you're talking to me now. You can either call me
Right.
directly, or you when you go back in, ask the service advisor or one of the stewards that are there, or Mark Feltman, who is our service manager, why is it that you will not accept this coupon, and have it explained. It should have been explained in the first place, but we do, and we have allowed coupons to be applied, but we can't without reservation do that, because we're not going to trick you like the other dealer that put the misleading coupon out, and but we should explain why. And I apologize for your inconvenience, and I don't blame you for being mad. In fact, as far as I'm concerned, I don't even know what the trick is, but because of the inconvenience to you, I'm going. If I'll have your contact information, because Nancy's going to mail you $50. I'm going to say that you can apply that coupon because I said so, and I'll tell the service manager. So you got a double bonus for calling us, $50 plus.
Wonderful.
I'm gonna pay for the coupon.
Hey, Mary, thank you so much.
Yes. Thank you
I
so
have to
much
point
for
out to you
answering.
that you're an important part of the show this morning, because you're the first new female caller. And you can't imagine the number of women who need encouraged to call the show. You know, some of us are pretty shy. And that's another reason why everybody takes advantage of your anonymousfeedback.com. They're not as, how shall I put it, comfortable in their skin and being on the air. You definitely are, and you're a educated consumer. So spread the word that we're building a platform here for the ladies.
Yes, I will.
Thank you so much, Mary. Have a great weekend.
Thank you. And I'll hold on. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Okay, we have no calls. Do you want to get to the advertisement that
Let me show something
sent
that I've
to
been
Jonathan?
ignoring, but I shouldn't have ignored. I have been a dealer, as you know, since 1968, and the Automotive News is a dealer trade journal. Every car dealer, every manufacturer, anybody in the auto retail or manufacturing business reads the Automotive News. It's a weekly publication. I've never seen a headline like this, and I've never seen such confusion and shock in the automotive industry. I'm going to hold this up and for those to hopefully be able to see this. And basically the headline says, "Reputation in Tatters." And this is Automotive News, April the 3rd, I think,
April 28th.
April 28th. And it's talking about the tariffs. And there's practically the whole Automotive News is devoted to the disruption. I'll read you the first paragraph of the feature front page. "The reputation of the U.S. as a stable, trusted trade partner is unraveling as President Donald Trump's tariffs erode the global order." That's a mouthful. "Erode the global order that automotive manufacturers have relied on to make and sell vehicles and parts. And the country, once an anchor to world trade, is unlikely to regain trust anytime soon," industry executives, experts said. It's all over this publication, but the latest April 28th of the Automotive News says all the manufacturers and the dealers are in a state of panic, and it's going to affect you, the listeners out there. We've gone almost half the show without talking about tariffs, but it's on everybody's mind. It will affect the price of the car you buy. It'll affect the used car prices as well. It's going to create confusion in the manufacturing and the dealers. If you think the advertising was bad now, the advertising will be even worse and more deceptive later. There are retailers out there. You may have seen in the headlines, Amazon was thinking about pricing their products. and of course we've been talking about selling new cars on Amazon. Amazon's been talking about pricing their products with a separate disclosure for the tariff charge on the product they sell. The president got wind of this, and I'm guessing, but he probably called Jeff Bezos and said, "You don't want to do that because I'll be all over you." I mean, I don't know what happened, but Amazon withdrew their decision to do that. So the dealers, the manufacturers of all products, really, automobiles or tariffs are affecting a greater percentage of the economy than anything else. And the dealers don't know how to price the cars, how to discount the cars. The manufacturers don't know how much it's going to cost them to build the cars. The parts are either going to be charged or not charged. There was a late bulletin that said that if the parts are made in Canada or Mexico, there will be no charge. But if the parts are made outside of Mexico, and if I'm confused, and I'm a car dealer, and the manufacturers are confused, you want to be confused. So keep it in mind and watch your back and check the latest news and be sure that the dealers that you're dealing with and the manufacturers you're dealing with are giving you a fair shake on these tariffs. So good luck. That's all I can tell you. And we'll get back to normal business, but I had to cover that.
Absolutely. I have to mention the front page of the Automotive News and mention Mary Barra. I mean, what an impact she has made as the chair and chief executive of General Motors. It's an amazing time for her. And I believe that Earl, correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't it Dan Ackerson or something like that? I'm not sure. I know his his first name was Dan, who was in that position from 2010 until she took over, and then before that there was another gentleman, correct?
Yeah, it's
okay. My point is that Mary came along. Yes, I refer to her by her first name. She came along, changed everything, and she has been an asset to General Motors, and my hat is off to her with the job that she has done. Our number here is 877-960-9960, and you can also text us at 772-497-6530. We'll have our mystery shopping report coming up just about at 9:30, and we have so much more to get to. Back to you, Earl.
Yeah, our listeners, a lot of our, particularly our YouTube listeners, will be glad to hear this. I was embarrassed, really. I announced that my new book was coming out 2 or 3 years ago. And my timing was bad. We were almost, we wound up the book, and Nancy had written the foreword, and we were just getting the bugs out, and suddenly we didn't publish it. And there are a lot of reasons for it. The good news is we're back in business to get my new book out. In case you don't know, here's the old book, and this is Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer. I wrote this several years ago, and it's a how-to-do book. We don't sell this for a profit. It's available on Amazon for about $20. And all the proceeds, 100% of the proceeds, go to Big Dog Ranch Rescue, which is one of the largest no-kill shelters for dogs in the whole world. And we every penny that we get from selling this book on Amazon goes to Big Dog Ranch Rescue. So it's not a profit thing. The new book will be called Redemption of the Recovering Car Dealer. And the reason it was delayed is that there are a lot of reasons. The whole COVID epidemic that we went through, the retailing revolution, the electric vehicle, the likelihood that there would be laws changed the way cars are retailed, also known as Amazon. And I suddenly realized as I was getting ready to publish this book, that by the time it was actually in the bookstores or online or wherever you get your books, probably online, by the time it got there, it would be obsolete. So there have been more changes in the past 3 years in the automobile business that there have been in the 20 preceding that. So I had a book that was going to be 23 years old that I was going to put out and call a new book. So it will be a new book. And Redemption of the Recovering Car Dealer. I'm not going to give you a date right now, but I'm in touch with my ghostwriter who takes the product that I write or I dictate and puts it into acceptable form. And I'm in conversations with him now. Jonathan here in the studio has been kind enough to go back and send me podcasts of the radio show going back 15 years. So we can kind of pick up about the time the radical changes begin to come. We'll have your comments and Rick's and Nancy's and Stu's and my comments about electric vehicles, about autonomous vehicles, about Amazon selling the cars, about the fact that probably 90% of the name manufacturers that you know today will not be in business by the time you buy the book. And the fact that you won't be driving the car will be driving you. So this will happen. Rick?
Just a quick comment here from Johnny Z. Fradley, who, for him, he's all the way up in the Carolinas somewhere.
Yeah.
He says, it took longer for Earl's new book to come out than the Cybertruck.
It did. It did.
Now we're waiting for the roaster.
I should have said something. I kept thinking that next month, how you rationalize, and of course, I got sick, and that was a part of it. That was a latter part of it. But when things slowed down, I woke up one morning. I said, "Good God." The automobile retail business and manufacturing business is not the business that I was in when I wrote the book, Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer or Redemption of the Recovering Car Dealer. So how can I put a book out and not address what's happened in the past 3 years? And I'd be putting a fourth book out, or a third book out, and when you get to be 84 years old, you can't really tell people when the third book is coming out. Anyway, I'm wrong. You're right, and I should have said something earlier, but I'm excited about that, and I'll still be writing the book when we're hopefully approved as an Amazon dealer. I'd like to make that my last chapter with your help. And next week we're going to be talking to you about our affiliation with Amazon. We're going to ask Jeff Bezos to bring us on board as the first non-Hyundai dealership. Hopefully he can learn a little bit about us. What I'm going to do is take a full-page ad out in the Washington Post ASAP. And as a lot of you know, Jeff Bezos owns the Washington Post. So my full-page ad in the Washington Post will be an open letter to Jeff Bezos. And, of course, we're approaching him through the other channels, too. But, hey, the guy is the biggest retailer in the world, and he has somebody else who reads his mail and answers his mail and his phone calls and things like that. But I got to believe with a full-page ad, Dear Jeff, this is Earl. How about giving me a shot at being a dealer? I think somebody will mention it to him, and he may even call me. I don't know if you know this, but I know his mother, or I knew his mother. I think she passed. But years and years ago, I want to say 25 years ago, when he was just selling books, he bought his mother a Camry from my dealership. And his mother lives in Palm Beach, and she came in, and he paid for the Camry for his mother, and we delivered it to her. And of course, she's probably driving a Rolls Royce now if she's still with us. But
You know,
when he
what
was
an
selling
amazing
books,
time.
when he was selling books, he just bought a Camry
Yeah.
for his mother.
Amazing time. I have a prediction. I think that a third book will be written, and I think that it'll happen probably when we're in our 90s. What do you
Well,
think
I
about
hope
that?
so.
And you know, so like Earl said, so much happened with COVID, with the interruption of the chain supply, with tariffs, with everything. And I'll tell you what, I sat the other evening reading the rough draft, and I thought, goodness, so much has happened in these 5 years. So much has changed, and at the end of the day, we don't lack information to put in that book because there's so much.
Yeah.
You know, we may
Problem will be making it too thick.
it may be a
Yeah.
hardback.
Yeah.
Anyway, folks, give us a call. Let us know what you think. You know, about driving an electric vehicle. Would you be interested in driving autonomously? How do you feel about Amazon's platform in selling cars? There's a company, Jeff Bezos, who was really, ahead of his time. And this transparency, it just aligns with Earl Stewart, and it is going to be magical. 877-960-9960. And I'm going to get to this one call that we have, and then Earl is going to talk about the special purchase. What was that, 1981 on the Grand Prix? I think it was $7,026.
Oh.
Oh, goodness gracious. I'm looking at this and I'm just shaking my head. So much has changed. We're going to go to Charles, who's calling us from North Palm Beach. Good morning, Charles.
Good morning. Good morning, all. I live right literally down the street from you, and I'm sort of wedged in between the Parker Bridge and the PGA Bridge.
Oh, boy.
Which means that I was interested in seeing what the stop-start was all about. And something that I discovered was that it's not really a mileage improvement issue, but an emission control thing.
Yeah.
You know, when you see 30, 40, 50, 60 cars that are just piled up waiting for a single boat to come through,
Yeah.
it really is irritating to watch and imagine all of the stuff that's going into the atmosphere. But anyway, my bigger point is dealing with Volvos and the 3-point seatbelt. I've been a long-time Volvo buyer and really appreciate the product. Just a little history, which you might find interesting, and that is that back in the 1950s, the Volvo CEO lost a relative in a car crash, and he brought on a guy who had designed Saab fighter jets by the name of Niels Bohlen, Bohlen, and he invented the 3-point seatbelt in 1959, and Volvo gave that patent to the world for free.
Wow.
And at the time of Bohlen's death, it's estimated that he had saved 1 million lives. That was back in 2002.
Wow.
And since then, I think the number has been updated to about 1.5 million people. I'm always astounded that people won't put their seatbelt on. Earl, you're a guy who majored in physics in college, if I recall correctly.
Yes, right.
And so just imagine everything that's in the car and all of the contents are moving along at 65 miles an hour. And it slams into an immovable object
Oh, God.
at 65 miles an hour, and you're not wearing a seatbelt. Where does that put you?
Yeah. Through the windshield on the hood of the car.
Yeah, I mean, it's a rhetorical question.
Yeah.
But, you know, why somebody would feel that they shouldn't wear a seatbelt is just astonishing to me.
Yeah.
And I just hope that the message gets out to people that wearing a seatbelt is, well, I won't say suicidal, but just plain dumb.
I
Pretty
didn't know
close.
that about Volvo or the CEO of Volvo doing that. I mean, the guy ought to have a monument. Can you think of anything that saved more lives than seatbelts on automobiles? I can't. He ought to be.
Smallpox vaccine.
Yeah. What's that?
Smallpox vaccine.
Yeah. Maybe.
It's up there. It's
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we'll think about Dr. Jenner.
That's right.
Thanks very much for taking the call. But that stop-start thing, I just drove a rental with that, and I was intrigued by that. Sometimes it stops, and sometimes it stays on. It's interesting.
Charles,
Right.
maybe Rick has a comment on the stop-start.
Yeah, the reason it stays on at times at traffic lights has to do with your need for air conditioning and whether it needs to charge the battery more for the electric state. It's all computer controlled, and it's horrible.
If you like it for some strange reason, you can activate it by pushing the brake pedal down further. So if you're at a light and it doesn't stop, you can. It says a little notice will come up, so you can depress the brake pedal to activate.
Yep.
And I do that accidentally, and I get mad at myself.
Yeah, and the other thing that I learned from somebody the other day was that if you put it in sport mode, sometimes that overrides the stop-start feature also.
As a matter of fact, yes. Negan1 on our YouTube channel had mentioned that his Ford Raptors and a lot of other vehicles have a sport mode. If you put your vehicle in sport mode, that usually overrides that start-stop feature.
I got a sport mode. I'm going to put it on as soon as the show's
Just leave
over.
it on, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the final thought is that book, Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer, has just been a fantastic addition to my library. I've shared it with all of my family, my 3 sons, and if you had to condense it into a radical Reader's Digest version, I would say the most important thing that I have learned from Earl Stewart is final out-the-door price.
Mm-hmm.
That, to me, was just the biggest help of anything. But I'm looking forward to 2.0 and looking forward to sharing that with our sons.
Thanks, Charles.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you, Charles. Bye. Thanks for listening. I asked myself, I don't think that there's been a time during the time that we've been doing a radio show from the beginning that I've ever asked anyone to call in and give me a valid reason for not using a seatbelt.
I have a thought.
And
I'm sorry, continue.
It's interesting. I went to ChatGPT, and there's a lot of reasons that they don't.
The valid reason, excuse me if I'm insulting people out there, but is stupidity.
Well,
and I was stupid. We learn, we live and we learn. So back in 1968, when I started in the business, we thought seat belts were really stupid.
Yeah.
They were inconvenient. They stuck you in the back, and if you had them on, they hurt your chest. Or, we were just stupid.
Yeah.
And how I look at, I was how old then? 30 or so, and how could I not realize that when you hit a tree and go through the windshield, that you're going to get hurt?
I have an idea. My thought is, and it's not stupidity, because clearly you're not a stupid person.
I was then.
No, you had major. You'd done a lot of smart things by then. I think it's a lack of imagination, and people have the idea that I'm a driver. I've never gotten in an accident. I'm a good driver, and that's not going to happen to me. And they can't imagine the infinite possibilities where you don't even see it coming, or you have no role in being able to prevent it. So if you can't imagine the bad things that could possibly happen, maybe you feel comfortable not wearing it. But bad things can happen.
That's a good point. Because you get behind the wheel of the car, and not for me, I use my seatbelt, but you say, hey, listen, I'm just going up the street. It's 2 minutes. I don't need this uncomfortable, restrictive seatbelt.
Yeah.
And, you said imagination, use your imagination as to what the outcome of such a decision.
Even on people might just have the attitude like, I'm a really good driver, and I've had that. It's almost a chauvinistic thought process. I really thought that I was superior to other drivers, and that and inferior drivers were the ones that get in accidents. And I'm 57 now, and I've never been in a car accident. I've never crashed into anything. And
Is there any wood around here you can knock on?
yeah, this is
There you
particle board. So I go, and that's not a testament to how good a driver I am. It's a testament that I'm just statistically lucky.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened to me
Yeah,
yet.
yeah,
That's all.
but it is, if you can imagine, one of the other things that ChatGPT mentions is just being, forgetful. Now, there are so many alerts in the vehicles that we drive today.
Yeah.
It's not like it was, Earl, when you were jumping in behind a wheel and you were 30 years old. I mean, there's bing, bing, bong, bong, everything, going off,
talking to
alerting
you.
you to say, hey, put that seatbelt on. So much for seatbelts. We're going to move along because the lines have lit up, and we are going to go to Dawn in Jupiter. Good morning, Dawn.
Hey, good morning. Just a quick seatbelt story. I've been wearing one since the 80s when I had a Ford a Mustang GT with T-tops because my best friend's football coach got ejected through T-tops of a Corvette on the way to the Keys. So I've been wearing a seatbelt for a very, very long time. What used to drive me crazy, I had an aunt, unfortunately, she passed away, but she was in a car accident and the windshield came in. She was not wearing a seatbelt, so she ended up in the floorboards of her car, and she said, if I had a seatbelt, I would have died. So I'm like, Aunt Shirley, that's a very, very rare case. You need to wear your seatbelt. So that was her idea, that it would have killed her if she had a seatbelt on. So
I think I
that was an
remember
interesting story.
hearing stories like similar to that.
Yeah.
Reasons like, well, if they were wearing a seatbelt,
Yeah.
they would have died. Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but like you said, the statistics bear out the fact. Put your seatbelt on. Another thing which kills me is when my passengers do not, and that dinging drives me crazy. So I make everybody wear a seatbelt.
Doesn't
These
it?
cars are so smart nowadays, and thank God, because there's a lot of crazy people on the road, right?
Yeah.
A whole lot.
My car tells
All
me
right, you
which
guys have a
seatbelt
good
is
day.
unbuckled. I used to in the past, so I could yell at the particular kid, you in the middle. Buckle
Don,
up.
thanks so much for the call. There's one thing I didn't mention, and that's reinforcing the law, reinforcing the seatbelt law. And to my knowledge, it's not really paid attention to that much, but it's really important to make, the drivers aware that if you don't use your seatbelt, you're going to be fined. But like I said, reinforcing it is, at the end of the day, they're not really, reinforcing it. So with that said, we're going to give you a phone number and a text number, and the phone number is 877-960-9960, and the text number, you'll need that text number to vote on our mystery shopping report, and that is 772-497-6530. We're going to go to Frank, who's a regular caller from Jupiter Farms. Good morning, Frank.
Well, good morning to you guys. It's always a pleasure listening to the show and getting memories come flashing back in my head from years going by. But I'll do a quick seatbelt thing, and then I got my one joke I got to share with you. But the seatbelts, when I went through a really bad divorce many, many years ago, and when the kids would come up sporadically to visit from Miami, we'd live in Jupiter Farms, and I would have stuff in the truck or the car for the chickens or something. So I would just move the vehicle like 100 feet from the front driveway to the back where the animals were. And anytime I did that with the car, the kids would hop in with me, and they all put their seatbelts on for that 100-foot drive. And I go, holy cow. So it did work. I mean, it was good that they were taught that.
Like it was forced on an older generation, and it's just natural for younger kids.
Yeah. But anyway, since today is May 3rd, and you know that, and Monday is Cinco de Mayo, I figured you had to hear Frank's version of how that all began, if you got just a quick moment.
Of course.
It began back in a Mexican seaside town, famous for their hoagies with a very special mayonnaise that they would get from Ireland once a year. Well, as May 5th of that year, the ship was arriving with this special mayonnaise, and it hit a rock and sank. And unfortunately, as it was sinking, they realized all the mayonnaise was wrong. And the town crier ran through the town Cinco de Mayo, Cinco de Mayo. And now they make burritos and tacos. And so that's the Frank's version. Of course, we look at things differently out here in the farm. So
That's good. Hey, do you put mayonnaise on your burritos, Frank?
All I got to say is I like the hot sauce.
Oh, I know. Yeah, but anyway, yeah, one quick one. I had to go up through Stewart the other day because 95 was so shut down from a wreck that we got off US 1 in Hope Sound and went all the way up to northern Stewart. And on the drive, we went by this huge flag. I mean, I could see it when I went over the hill, a half a mile away. Have you ever mystery shopped that Toyota dealership up there in Stewart?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's been a while since we did.
I'd say, I think last year was the last time we did it. Yeah. All the time.
Okay.
They were, they're our neighbors.
Okay. Anyway, with that, and one last thing. A couple of weeks ago, we talked about the engine wash and stuff. I went through a spurt late last year. I was going to treat myself to a 56 Chevrolet with a 327, really looking nice, down in Miami. And we went to test drive it. And I showed up there driving my, Mercedes-Benz, air conditioning, power steering, all that. I get in this car, no power steering. I mean, you're trying to turn that huge steering wheel, no air conditioning. And I'm going, but the car is beautiful. And the guy said, okay, come on back. And I got the money. It was a very good price. I probably could have made some money reselling it. But they cleaned the engine, and it wouldn't run because the wires got all wet and they're sparking and jumping. And then it really sank in. I don't need to spend that kind of money for a car I can't really drive. So,
but I love those little shoe boxes.
Oh, my goodness. It was an incredible car. But anyway, so instead we got a Lexus instead. So there's my
good choice.
Thanks, Frank. We appreciate
you guys
your
have
call.
A wonderful weekend.
You
have
too.
a good day. Thank you.
For those that don't know, the 55, 56, 57 Chevys were known as shoebox Chevys.
And they're small.
Just for they were good sized cars.
Boxy, square.
Yeah, but they were kind of squared off looking. But
they're very fast
and beautiful cars.
You get one with dual quads.
Yes.
Look at.
Stick shift. The fastest car at Palm Beach High School in 1958 was a 56 Chevy Bel Air with dual quads, 4 on the floor.
Yep.
And
Until
Buddy
you got
Crosby,
your GTO.
Buddy
It sure
Crosby had
was.
that car.
Until you got your GTO, right?
And I got the GTO, and then of course the fuel injected Pontiac.
And that beat the 56 Bel Air.
Yeah.
I drove that Bel Air back
289,
then when I lived in Pittsburgh. Here, I want to mention something.
383.
Who said that there are not ladies listening to the show? I just got 4 texts
saying, about this nonsense.
Ironically, they just got into their car, and they said, thanks for reminding us we just put our seatbelt on.
Oh, boy.
So there you go. Hey, the phone lines are shut down, folks, so we're not taking any more calls. But jot down the text number 772-497-6530. You'll need it to vote on the Mystery Shopping Report. Earl, that ad that we mulled over when you were a bad dealer, you were going to talk about the freight on that vehicle. I believe that it was the freight. Yeah. So anyway, would you like to talk about that?
Yeah. We got a old customer found a newspaper ad from Stuart Pontiac, I think 1956 or 57 or 58, something like that.
Yeah. The word,
81,
excuse me,
81,
the wording was plus freight.
Yeah, 81.
That's what you had in your ad.
Yeah, so I was, that's back when I was lying, cheating, and stealing like all the other dealers, and hence my book, Confessions of a Recovering Car Dealer. So I would run a big ad in the Palm Beach Post, and I would give this unattainable low price. What was the price?
$1,726 or $7,026.
$7,026 for a Pontiac Grand Prix, and then in the fine print was plus
freight.
Freight. And of course, that's not only unethical and illegal, it's also a violation of a federal law, because if you, when you do the freight, that becomes a manufacturing thing, so it's a federal law. So
maybe you didn't know.
More like I didn't care. I mean, I
so I was just giving you an out.
How do you explain?
See, this is why I pat myself on the back. If I were a holier than thou that walked into town with my white suit, blaming all the dealers for what they do, that would be one thing. But because I was a really bad guy like they were, I know how they felt.
Right.
I didn't feel any guilt at all. I
know.
was happy.
You know
I was
why?
successful.
You want to know why?
I was the #1 Pontiac dealer.
Well, besides that,
yeah.
because when it's the way it's done, you
Yeah.
feel safety in numbers. It's just the way. But this is how we do it, and they get blind to the.
Well, it's a little
to the,
bit
to
like
the big picture.
it's a little bit like the Olympic athletes that use stimulants, and these are red-blooded American, all other countries, and they have to win their race from childhood. I got to win. I won an Olympic gold medal, and they take a shot of drugs and they win, and they think there's nothing wrong with it. Well,
or other competitors feel that
Yeah,
if they
everybody
don't
else is
do
doing
it,
it.
then I'm at a disadvantage.
Yeah. I had to be a liar and a cheater because everybody around me was a liar. and
If
a
I
cheater.
didn't lie and cheat, then I'd get no business.
Complacency. That's so what it was all about. Everybody's doing it, so I'll do it.
Rick's kind of funny. I
It's
can
like the
tell.
70s.
Well, Johnny Z. Fraley wants
everybody's
to know
doing
if that did that price tag, the 7,026, did that include the nitrogen-filled tires?
We didn't know about nitrogen. If I'd known about nitrogen, I would have.
You could have been the one. With your background, you could have invented it. And
Yeah,
said,
I had
"You
the
know,
first F&I department, the first box anywhere.
Wang
and
at the Wang, right?
My father called me in one day and said, "What is this?" He says, "You've got more profit in the financing of the car than you did in the sale of the car." And I says, "Yeah." He said, "Well, you can't do that." And I said, "Why not?" And I'm the one that turned my father into a dishonest man too, because he had a son that was doing the kind of
If
thing.
I was around, I would have said because I would have said that is ephemeral because they can cancel all that stuff. I go, and car gross is real.
Yeah.
Make car gross.
Anyway, so where are we?
I don't know. We were talking to each other.
Yeah, we're talking to each other, yeah.
Do we have any callers?
The phone lines are closed.
Okay. Why don't you get to Anne Marie's the kickoff text?
Good morning, Anne Marie. We so appreciate your texts every single Saturday morning. Thanks for leading us to the texts.
I've got it right here. And as a matter of fact, this is an interesting question because it ties in with something we were discussing earlier. Good morning. Yesterday I saw a truck with chrome bumpers and realized it was the only vehicle with any chrome in the entire Costco parking lot. It brought me back to the days long ago when all vehicles were awash with chrome. When did chrome disappear and why?
I don't know, but Earl's got a chrome Cybertruck. Not really, but similar.
Hey,
No.
Rick, what about the
Earl has a stainless steel polished
I know.
Cybertruck.
I know
what
there's a
about the days
difference.
of the gold package? Was that amazing back
yeah,
then?
those-
Everybody had to have a gold package.
All right,
now
well,
we're talking.
Here's
Chrome's coming
what
back,
happened.
by the way.
Now, bear in mind, this actually kind of connects back again with those old Chevys that we were talking about. Back in the day, you didn't have chrome. They would take stainless steel trim and polish it to make it nice and shiny, just like what Earl did with his Cybertruck. And
know
that
that.
was a great way. However, it took constant polishing to keep it shiny. Chrome became invented when they would literally metal
it.
plate various types of metal onto the steel, and the final being a coat of chromium, which stayed nice and shiny and reflective for a long, long time. However,
Chromium steel.
that was an incredibly chemical filled process.
Dangerous.
That was incredibly dangerous and bad for the environment. And the EPA finally said, whoa, this is way too dangerous. We got to stop this. We're making horrible, horrible chemicals doing this. So they tried to change the process to make it a lot safer. And the drawback was you wound up with chrome that would rust almost instantly. It would peel, and it looked horrible. And the manufacturers all decided, hey, wait a minute. Do we keep spending money trying to make chrome and make it last, and we keep having to replace it under warranty? Or would we just make a steel bumper and put a plastic coating over it that we paint, and it looks really cool, and we get rid of chrome? And chrome actually went away.
And that's what we
for
have.
that number one reason, because of environmental aspects of it.
The
Interesting.
more you know. Hey, so right now, because chrome is kind of making a comeback, I see it on more and more vehicles, and less structural things. You don't see like a chrome bumper, but you see chrome pieces, insets.
Right.
That is polished steel with a coating to keep it from
Exactly.
scratching.
And as the technology changes, and our technology improves, they're finding ways to create that shiny silver reflective effect on different materials.
Yeah, like a
and
wrap.
do it safely.
Don't you
So
realize
yeah,
that
we may see that
there's
style
thousands of
come
people
back.
out here listening to us, and all the young people, all the lower generations are thinking we're talking about Chrome on TV, on
the
Google,
browser, for the
Google
browser.
Chrome. Yeah, Google
Kids,
Chrome.
listen.
Yeah.
They don't know what
Kids,
Chrome
we're
is.
talking about
Chrome
cars.
is Google. I mean, yeah.
We're talking about the things, that big old machine in your dad's driveway. It's a car. Get outside. Drive it. Get your face out of the screen, kid. All right. I have I hope Anne-Marie felt that was a sufficient discussion. Yeah. I mean, and Anne-Marie, it is starting to come back. I don't know if you got to these anonymous feedbacks last week. I wasn't in the studio. Did you get a discussion about the about Elon Musk as a disruptor? This came in on Saturday.
No, we didn't get
At
that.
9 o'clock. Okay. This is anonymous feedback. We don't know who it came from. And they are referring to a caller named Paul. And it says, Paul had a lot of points, but he has missed a key point. Elon Musk is a disruptor and an innovator that will continue. All the other car companies are followers in the EV world. I've driven Teslas, BMWs, Kias, and other EVs. The others do not have the same feel as a Tesla. Is he speaking emotionally or the steering wheel? They are close, but still playing catch-up. They are nowhere near Tesla on self-driving. Okay, some work still to do there, but it will get there. If he really understood the EV world, he would be praising Tesla for innovation. If you want an EV and want to be a follower, don't get a Tesla. I mean, Tesla, you can't. I don't think anybody denies that it's a great EV, right? I mean,
Sure.
I mean, there's issues here and
nobody
there.
that's knowledgeable, but I mean, it's an emotional thing.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I mean, some
Definitely very political. Tesla's a great product.
I'm not going to get political here, but I understand that. But I don't. I mean, the people who are turning against Tesla, a lot of them own Teslas. They just feel bad
they're mad
about
at
it.
Elon Musk because of Doge.
Yeah. I'm just talking about. Let's talk about the car.
Yeah, right. But they
Right.
can't.
They can't
make
separate
that
the two.
They
transition.
can't decipher.
No, I understand that, but I just don't think that there's any attacks.
Well, when you stop and think about it, emotion is not to be banned in the world. And if you lose your job because of Doge,
it's fine.
and Elon Musk is the one that came up.
Oh, I'm not criticizing
Yeah.
that. I just don't.
Yeah.
I go say, listen, I don't want to be. I'm not going to help this guy
Exactly,
that I
yeah.
feel is hurting me. So or hurting other people. So, but if you talk about the car,
Yeah.
it's a
How
like a
about
magic
Ford?
machine.
But Henry Ford was an anti-Semite.
Yeah, I don't like him. But yeah, the Tesla's a great car, but there are other great EVs as well. So, but Tesla
Absolutely.
broke the ground and paved the way.
And at the end of the day, politics should not play into, whether you like a Tesla or any other electric
because
vehicle.
If Elon left tomorrow, I mean, then it's safe to buy a Tesla. It suddenly becomes a great car, But that's how irrational this is.
Irrational, absolutely. Rick?
Note came in from Donovan here. He says, for this person, if you go drive a BYD or a Xiaomi,
the Chinese ones,
the Chinese EVs, and then tell me that Tesla is ahead still.
Yeah.
Now, the BYD and the Xiaomi, these are vehicles that we simply can't get here in the U.S. Yet, and that may very well change. But yeah, I fully believe that other countries and other places may very well have vehicles that are even technologically advanced ahead of ours.
I've read about some of the Chinese ones.
Well, that's a great comment, and we should get some information on that. The first thing that popped into my mind are Tesla sales down in China now. If the Chinese manufacturers are building a better product, is that reflected in the sales of Tesla in China? And that's the first thing I'd like to check. And Donovan is always... I haven't driven those. I salute Donovan for having driven them. And do we have any dealers, or can we buy those vehicles around here?
No.
I doubt it. I very much doubt it.
Donovan, let us know how you drove those. Where did you?
Probably in Europe. I know there's
he's probably
BYDs that I saw in Europe, and then I guess anywhere else. If you're in Southeast Asia, you're going to India, Vietnam.
Well, from Donovan's post history, he might very well have been in China and driven one
That's
even
true.
recently.
That's true. You can still go to China. We're not at war yet.
Quite the world trotter.
I still want to go there before it's too late.
Yeah.
Sales in Tesla's China's down noticeably 49.2% year over year this year. So,
Well, that could be there's the product. The Chinese are building a better product.
and supporting that product.
I hate to see anybody get a lead on everybody else that can't be overcome in a reasonable amount of time. Competition, it sounds strange because we have a Toyota dealership. I love it when Honda comes out with a better product than Toyota. I've been a Toyota dealer for almost 50 years,
and it's never happened.
And when and Honda will build a better sedan, they'll build a better van, they'll build a better economy car, and the next year Toyota will, or 2 years later, they'll build a better one, and then Honda. We have a better product today as a result of that competition than either manufacturer would have. So I think Elon Musk thinks the same way. He wants competition to keep him and his company sharp because you got to stay ahead. It's always, who was the baseball player that says, don't ever look behind you, someone might be gaining? That
wasn't Jesse Owens?
No, it wasn't just, it was a baseball player, a pitcher, I think.
Okay, we're going to have to move forward with the mystery shopping report. There's text messages. There's YouTube. Jonathan, how much time do we have left?
We have 3 minutes.
3 minutes. Okay, guys.
3 minutes until the mystery shop. Okay, let me just check.
No, we have 3 minutes left, period.
3 minutes? I mean, before we get to it. Yeah.
3 minutes to mystery shop.
All right, did you guys get to this mystery shop? Let's see, there was one. No matter how good the price, no matter how transparent you are, customers will still sell a dealer salesperson out for a couple of dollars more.
Yes.
That was from an employee at a car dealership, which is a frustration expressed. I'm sure you guys talked about it last week, so I'll move on.
Okay. And folks, I didn't mention, but the mystery shopping report will be coming up. And Asian Lightning did go to Daytona Beach, and that is Gary Yeoman's dealership.
Gary Yeoman Ford.
Yeah, there you go. So stay tuned for that. Stu?
Okay, this one came in after the show last week. It's anonymous feedback. It says, wow, what an attitude at Delray Hyundai. And I guess we were discussing the mystery shop. And it's the dealership defining the type of acceptable payment, not Amazon. LO accidentally asked for too much. It seems everyone I know is accidentally getting overcharged at a car dealership in both sales and service. It's very common. I think they're referring to the deposit because Agent Lightning paid a $500 deposit online, and then the total due did not reflect that, and she had to remind them. And you're right. I mean, that probably was an oversight.
I forgot about that, and it was Marty that called. The $500 you pay, it doesn't go to Amazon.
Correct.
It goes to the dealer.
Correct.
And it is refundable if you change your mind. Yeah. I was thinking that Marty was worried he wouldn't get his $500 back on an Amazon transaction.
Oh, okay. No, it's just like ordering a car. Somebody says, "We'll get the car ready for you. Can we have a deposit?"
And also, we were talking before you came in about getting signed up with Amazon, and Stu's handling that for us. And Josh is
on top of it.
Yeah. And we're signing the paperwork, and then starting next week, we will be asking you for support to go through the Jeff Bezos and other top executives with Amazon to consider us as the first non-Hyundai dealer with Amazon. I mean, I think we're qualified because if you listen to the show, we're honest people, and also the fact that we have shopped and we know your program's good. We shopped a Hyundai dealer through Amazon, and it was the best thing for the consumer that we've seen.
Yeah.
And it's better than Costco.
Better than TrueCar?
It's better than TrueCar. It's probably better than Consumer Reports. And it is a really good thing for you. But if only Hyundai dealers are signed up, what good's it going to do 95% of the country?
Right.
So,
is that their
Absolutely.
penetration? Only 5%?
I think probably something like that.
Yeah,
I mean,
probably.
Toyota's 10, so. Or, I don't know.
15.
Okay, so would you like to do the mystery shopping report?
Nah, I don't want to do
Central
that.
page, yeah.
Actually, I
The
do.
way we're eating up the time,
I
it
stayed
doesn't
up
look
till-
like as if it's going to happen.
I stayed up until like 9 o'clock last night. Yeah.
Rick just showed me a satchel page that says,
Satchel Page.
if you hear footsteps behind you, don't look back. Someone might be gaining on you.
Okay.
So that's what's the reason he was such a great pitcher, is he was scared that someone was going to
trying to
catch
kill
him.
him, right.
And if you think you're the greatest pitcher in the world and you let up, guess what?
Right. You got to keep going. Got to keep on keeping on. All right, mystery shopping report time, right?
Yes, indeedy. You want to? Do you want to vote on the mystery shopping report? You can go to 772-497-6530. As I said earlier, the mystery shopping report is from Gary Yeomans, and that is a Ford dealership in Daytona Beach. Now back to the recovering car dealer.
Okay. It's Gary Yeoman Ford in Daytona. I'm not familiar with those folks, and we didn't do a lot of research, but Daytona is not considered South Florida, and the further north we go, the more honest and transparent the dealerships seem to be. And let's see, it isn't always the case. I'll speak of the first person as if I were Agent Lightning. I arrived early in the afternoon and was greeted while checking out the 2024 Ford F-150s parked right out front by a salesman named JC. I warn you this time of year that there's still a lot of 2024 cars out there, and they might not have any miles on them, but they're used cars. Trust me. When you trade that car in, if you bought it, in 5 years, it's going to be 6 years old, not 5 years old. So it's they look at the year of the car. The books do. They don't know.
To help illustrate this, we did the Amazon Hyundai shop, and we appraised it, and we had a few experts. This wasn't flippant. Put the value of this new vehicle at $19,000, and the cost and a good fair price for that new would have been around $24,000, like Agent Lightning had. So that's really, and now imagine if that dialed the year back 1 year, it would have been
a $5,000 depreciation.
It would have been like $16,000.
So they say when you drive it off the lot, you speak it literally, $5,000. So that's one of the reasons people don't typically trade in their new cars.
Right.
But just bear that in mind when you're buying a new car. Why pay the depreciation when you don't have to?
Exactly.
Okay. JC, the salesperson, asked me, what brings you in today? I replied, my son is flying home for a few days, and I'm hoping he can drive a new truck when he heads back to work next week. I love Agent Lightning's. She is so credible. And this is what we hear a lot as car dealers. I mean, that's why people buy cars. So I love her. The fact that she's got a big family involvement in her shops makes her very, very credible.
Right.
I replied, my son is flying home for a few days. I'm hoping he can drive a new truck when he heads back to work next week. I motioned to the new 2024, which I have new in quotation marks, the new 2024 F-150 4x4 Super Cab. The Monroney label was in the right place, and the addendum
was in the right place.
Was in the right place, right next to it. And that's to trick you into thinking that's part of the Monroney, and we call that a phony Monroney. The MSRP was $55,140. The addendum label added $1,959 for the Gary Yeoman, that's Y-E-O, Gary Yeoman protection racket. And it's who wrote this, humorously says, I am, package. So the standard operating procedure for most Florida dealers, especially South Florida, the infamous addendum. He asked what kind of work my son does and agreed that this would be a great truck for him to start with. JC offered me a test drive, but I laughed and declined, saying, "It's too big for me to drive. We'll wait for him to test it out," her son, instead. I explained, "I'm really just trying to get the ball rolling for him to save time. He has so little time off, but he really needs to buy a truck, so I'm doing some of the legwork." JC said, "Listen to this. I like this." JC said, "You're such a good mom. He's lucky to have you."
That sounds.
And then he motioned for me to come inside so he could gather my information and run some numbers. So I can say this because Nancy's out of the room. She'll be right back. But if I really want to get in tight with Nancy, all I got to do is say, "You're such a good mom." And when you say that,
she's listening to the show on her phone in the radio right now.
Uh-oh.
You can hear us out in the lobby.
Oh, you're such a good mom. Okay. There was a food truck out front blaring heavy metal music.
Only in Daytona.
So we headed inside to be able to hear each other talk. At his desk, he pulled me up in their system and then excused himself to check the mileage on the truck. He returned and said that it had only 15 miles on it. Here comes Nancy. "We missed you, honey." He returned and said it only had 15 miles on it. We were both surprised. Says it's a 2024 model.
So am I.
He then mentioned that I should get executive employee pricing. I like the executive, employee pricing, executive employee pricing.
Sounds
because of all the
important.
tariffs happening right now, saying this should end up being a real good price for him. Now, you mentioned the tariffs. We really didn't spend enough time on the show today in our 2 hours talking about tariffs. We talked about them a little bit, but bear in mind.
Yeah, what's going on with this?
Well, the latest.
No, we have a mystery shop.
Yeah, right, yeah.
Just
Yeah.
kidding.
The bottom line is the salesman has no idea what's going on with tariffs. The sales manager probably doesn't. The dealer probably
Ford
doesn't.
hasn't done anything with their
Because
razor
unless you're
prices.
sitting in front of CNBC watching the breaking news, you don't know what's happening. I'm not sure the President of the United States knows what's happening.
So Chris Farley was on on the news a lot this weekend, and this is Ford, and he says that it'll be months before they'll raise prices, so it's not affecting this truck here.
So just be prepared. It's going to be a time of panic, and just keep your cool. That's all. That's the best I can monitor.
One more comment.
Yeah.
I have one more comment, which is he's assuring her, "Don't worry about these tariffs because we'll give you a good, really deal." This is a 2024 model.
Yeah.
It clearly came in a while ago.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. I should have said that. He pointed to the Gary Yeoman's buyer's benefit sheet, and that's a joke, and said, "Take a look at this. Every customer gets these benefits, and it's good across the United States and Canada." Canada is our 51st state, as most of you know, and we're the only dealership in the area that offers this kind of package.
Why Canada?
If anything happens, we even send out a mobile service truck. You think they'd send one to Canada?
Hi, I'm in Saskatchewan,
Right.
and I just broke down.
JC then excused himself again to get some numbers. He asked, will he be financing or paying cash? I told him cash. About 8 minutes later, returned with a pricing sheet that bore very little useful information. Written with a Sharpie pen across the page was today's sale, $57,955-8114 plus 644 aftermarkets. Yeah, okay. Gary Yeoman Aftercare. I looked at the sheet, and it's shorthand for their dealer-installed accessories and addendum. I asked him, in junk fees, I asked him how much the Gary Aftercare cost and requested a full breakdown of the pricing. JC said, I'm not sure of the exact price, but I'll be right back. When you think about the ridiculousness of the statement, the salesman is not sure about the exact price. I mean,
He's being honest.
I mean, we know the customer's not sure. Well, the salesman's not sure, and the advertising price is not sure.
That's a problem.
Yeah, that's the
Done by
problem.
design.
I'll be right back. They'll include it. They will include the full breakdown. Now, you could have used they or we, and so you see there, very important. When you say they, it's you and me against them. The enemy is over there in that office behind that closed door. And you and me, we're going to go to that really bad guy, and I'm going to throw my body on the floor. I'm going to beg for a low price. Isn't it silly? I mean, really.
I'll rend my garments.
Right. And I'm going to believe that. I'm going to believe that you really don't care about a high price. You're not paid on commission. You want to sell it as cheap, even if you don't make a commission. You want me to get a good deal, and it's you and me against them.
No, they're enjoying a Diet Coke in that office.
Yeah. Okay, continuing on, the sales manager named Louis, or perhaps Luis, then came over with another price sheet and said, you're getting this at employee pricing. You notice they dropped the executive. They're not going to give you the executive employees,
that's the best
just
deal.
the run-of-the-mill employee pricing. I'm joking now. It's just there is no employee pricing.
It's all words.
It's a fantastic deal. Just a little aside, it isn't unusual for us to sell cars to employees of other dealerships, and they will, believe it or not, come to our dealership, their competition, because our price that everybody pays is lower than the price that their dealership charges their own employees.
Yeah.
So you might be lucky that you're not getting the employee pricing.
And we've sworn ourselves to secrecy.
Yeah.
We won't name names.
Okay, here. The top line was Gary Yeoman's asking price plus another $90.
$90. It wasn't exactly what it was on the stickers.
About $90, $57,995. Then they took off $8,114. Then they added $1,959. I'm getting dizzy. That's your addendum.
It's a roller coaster.
$395 in taxable fees. Taxable is another word for junk,
Right.
and or profit to the dealer, and a $998.50 dealer fee, which is a junk and profit to the dealer.
Ill-gotten booty.
Yeah, and my real price was $53,233.50, which is $1,906 lower than MSRP on a year-old car, a used car.
Not good enough, damn it. Not good enough.
Yeah. ChatGPT did a little research on the price, and I didn't think about doing this. That's a good idea, Stu.
Yeah, it's great. I do this quite often. That's how I appraise cars now.
Are they pretty good?
I appraise cars with it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't use ChatGPT to appraise cars, but you guys can.
Yeah. I have, by the way, we got a little bit of time. I had an argument with the ChatGPT yesterday, and they were really doing something stupid.
Be careful.
And I got emotionally involved.
Be very careful.
Very
I
much
got
so.
an argument. Yeah.
Very
And
much so.
I'm still arguing with them.
Don't
request-
argue with Skynet.
Right, I'm saying request that they delete that argument. Say, please delete this from your memory.
In Central Florida, the average this is ChatGPT. In Central Florida, the average purchase price for a new 2024 Ford F-150 4x4 Super Crew with an MSRP of $55,140 typically falls between $46,000 and $49,000. And the
That's
price
quite a
that
bit
got
lower
quoted
than-
here was
yeah.
$53,000, right?
Yep.
So there you go. Depending on trim levels, options, and dealer incentives, many dealerships like Mullinex, that happens to be one of our choice Ford
This
dealers,
was not prompted by us.
recommended by us, are offering discounts of $6,000 to $7,000 off MSRP, especially on mid-level trims like the STX or XLT, while some used listings show higher prices. New inventory with current offers often provides better value. So we have now a new dimension, thanks to Stu. I hadn't thought about this, and we will definitely do ChatGPT's
Assessment.
version of what's the car really worth, what should it sell, and
Yeah, and I
even-
agree with this, and I
Yeah.
think it's fair to put it into a range because, but it gleaned it from sources from the internet, which are out there. So what it did what we can do in a fraction of a second would take us maybe a half hour, 45 minutes to go around the web and put it all together.
So if you don't know, just go to ChatGPT. That's just the way it's called, ChatGPT, and then you can download the app on your smartphone, and you can talk to the person, or you can text, you can type it out, and it's an amazing tool for you to buy a car.
Did you read, and this is mostly off topic, but we have time, we have a minute. Sam Altman, who was one of the founders of OpenAI, who ChatGPT is where that comes from, is also a co-founder of another startup called World ID. Did you read about this?
No.
Okay, so we're already at the stage where AIs can completely fool you as a human. You don't know if you're in even videos, deep fakes, all that sort of stuff. Where I get fooled quite often. I'm like, is that real? And he has seen, and his partners have seen the need in the near future for something that certifies you as a human, and then you can interact, and you are basically it's proven. But right now you can only go to New York, Nashville, or Los Angeles to go to this hardware where it scans your retinas, encrypts it with some code. They don't store the picture of your retina, and they've certified that you're a human, and this encrypted code goes with you when you interact on the internet.
So I can take a picture of my neighbor. We have a neighbor that I question is human, and I could give that.
You got to get their face up to this scanner somehow, and then you could do that. And it's pretty cool because because I don't know what's real, and it's out there on the internet, and I think we're in for some confusing times. But this sounds like
very
a good
confusing
idea.
times.
The idea of registering your retina, though, worldwide registry, is going to bother people. So
that is Skynet getting us all in the registry so they know how to hunt us down.
I got to interrupt you guys. We have to vote.
Oh, my gosh.
Please, 772-497-6530. Cast your vote on the Mystery Shopping Report from Daytona Beach. You make the show, as I always do. We're running out of time.
Okay.
We have any votes?
C from me, because it was straight up exactly average car dealer behavior. And Agent Lightning did not get the greatest deal, and they were able to get one of their old cars off the lot, but they didn't do anything heinous. So a C from me.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Bob from Maryland says he agrees Satchel Paige was that baseball player. Gary Yeoman's website says, you pay what we pay. I hope that Ford's not jerking their employees with things like Gary Yeoman Aftercare. It's a D. And we'll get right along moving along
Earl,
here.
what's your vote?
C minus.
C minus. Okay, my vote is a D. Rick?
I'm going C minus. I take it we're out of time for reading grades.
I think that we're ready to wrap up the show. Is there one more there that you can share?
Negan 1, employee pricing joke, Big Fat F. T-Cash, F. Joseph Kelleher, D. Tom Steckel, D minus. Johnny Z. Fraidley, give him a D. Mark H. D.
Okay, there you have it, folks. Thank you so much for joining us here at Earl Stewart on Cars. And we so love your company. You make the show. Stay tuned next week at 8 a.m. We'll be right back here Saturday morning, 8 until 10 o'clock. Have a wonderful weekend.